Hi, I'm Nancy Bell from Oshkosh Public Library, and this is Book Buzz, where I'll take one book that's been getting a lot of buzz on bestsellers lists, review sites, social media, and I'll break it down into definable elements, and then I'll suggest 3 books that have similar themes, writing styles, characters, and overall general vibes. Today we're going to be talking about the most checked out book at Oshkosh Public Library for 2022. You can actually check out the full list of all of the top 10s on our website. I'll link to it down below. So today we're talking about Shadows Reel by C.J. Box. It is the 22nd book in the Joe Pickett novels. These are fast-paced murder mystery novels. They all revolve around the main protagonist, Joe Pickett. We meet Joe in the first book as the new game warden living in 12 Sleep County, Wyoming. And he's not a hero, at least to himself. He's just a man who wants to do things the right way. But trouble, specifically murders, keep happening around him. And so the fast action following man with a cause and the beautiful descriptions of the rugged beauty and landscape of Wyoming continue to make this a successful and satisfying series. In the latest book, Shadows Reel, Joe and his wife Mary Beth make separate discoveries that put their family at the center of an international intrigue and a plot of possible antagonists. So let's go ahead and talk about some elements that are, they're specific to just the Joe Pickett novels in general. So these themes are part of pretty much the entire series. So it's a thriller, suspenseful. It's not as much of the gore and actual seeing the violence, but it does give you that element of surprise and waiting for that moment. And because of that, it's really compelling. You want to get to the answers, you want to know what happens, and so you're compelled to keep reading. It has a really strong sense of place. It's set in Wyoming. You know with no uncertainty that it is Wyoming. You see the grandeur of the wildness and ferocity of the natural landscape. And so that makes it a really interesting take on something that is such a long-standing series. And then just the last 2, which are kind of extra things. So the main character is a game warden. So if we can link up other books that have game wardens as their main character. I personally haven't read that many books that take that take. And then as well as just, good old-fashioned murder investigations. We want a little bit of a procedural in there to continue our hook. And maybe if we're looking at a series read-alike, we can continue that string all the way around. So let's go ahead and look for some books that make some good read-alikes. So first up, let's talk about The Poacher's Son by Paul Dworin. It's the first book in a series. It's called the Mike Bowditch Mysteries. So when the spokesman of a corporate purchaser of a 100-year-old campground is killed, everyone in Somerset County is convinced that Jack Bowditch is guilty. Jack's only hope is his estranged son, Mike, who is now a game warden, which he chose as a slap in the face to his poacher father. Mike vows to clear his father's name by finding the real killer, and by doing so puts himself and everyone he loves in harm's way. So let's go ahead and talk about those elements. If you couldn't tell, this is also a thriller suspense. We're trying to get to the heart of who did it. It's a little bit of a murder mystery. His father has been accused of murder, and so he has to solve the case in order to redeem him. And because of that, it's really compelling. We really care about Mike trying to, vindicate his father, even though they're estranged. Part of the story is told in these flashback moments. You get to really know Mike in his childhood and maybe why they grew to be apart. This book also has a really strong sense of place. It's a 100-year-old campground, which is really important to the community, and it's all set in Maine, and so you really get the feeling of vibes of being in Maine. So for those reasons, I think it's a great read-alike. Our second read-alike is Bearskin by James A. McLaughlin, which is a standalone read-alike. It won the Edgar Award for Best First Novel in 2019. The main character, Rice Moore, has just taken a job as a caretaker for a nature preserve in the Appalachian Mountains. He he's hoping for some peace as he escapes his past. Unfortunately, he semi-quickly exposes a bear poaching operation that brings him right back into dangerous situations and exposes his own hideout to the Mexican cartel he ran away from. And it's an intense, violent survival story of a damaged anti-hero that builds to a desperate showdown. So let's go ahead and talk about the elements. Again, thriller, suspense, a little bit of mystery, really waiting for those bigger moments where you can be surprised and you have that gasp of, satisfaction. It is really intricately plotted. You have layers of Rice's story. There's the multiple motivations of different antagonists. There's also these elements of like hunting, combat, psychological defense. And it all takes place in a very atmospheric setting. It's in the Appalachian Mountains. You're able to, really feel that need for survival. And as well as that, because of those factors, the intricate plot, lots of motivations, it feels really compelling. You really want to know who Rice really is, what was he doing with the cartel, how is the bear poaching ring going to end, and it all revolves around this central story of forest conservation, which I think really speaks to, the game warden spirit that was brought to us in Shadows Reel. So I think it's a pretty good read-alike if you enjoyed Shadows Reel. And last but not least, actually one of my favorite books, is The Dry by Jane Harper. So The Dry is the first book in a richly detailed and compelling mystery series that really transports you to this vivid rural scenery, in the landscape being its own character, in addition to like really authentic characters. The two books that are currently out have Aaron Falk, a financial investigator for the Australian Federal Police, at their center. He solves complex, murky crimes with layers of secrets, tension, and motivations. The Dry is the first book in the Aaron Falk series. The third one is coming out later this year. The Dry has been nominated for and won so many awards. So in The Dry, Aaron returns to his hometown, and the town's in perilous decline, aided by the worst drought in a century. He returns home to attend the funeral of a friend who is believed to have shot his wife and son and then killed himself. Aaron is already suspicious of his best friend's death, and then he receives a sinister anonymous note that forces him to confront a 20-year-old false alibi that caused he and his father to flee this town after a young woman's death. Her death is still unsolved, and this new note could be the answer to uncovering truths behind both crimes. So Jane Harper's writing style is fantastic, and this was her debut novel, and it can really be summed up as a small town, big secrets page turner with a shocker of an ending. So that already gives you a clue into some of these elements I'm going to be talking about. So first and foremost, it is a mystery. It's less of a thriller suspense. It's really more about solving the crimes and less of a, dooming what's going to happen next element. It's really atmospheric, such a strong sense of place in Australia with the outback, with the drought. You really feel like you're there. The writing style that Jane Harper employs is almost like this stark writing style, almost sparse to reflect like the drought that's going on, but also like the coarse language. It makes it really gritty overall while they're investigating a murder. And so all of these elements combined, the drought, the murder, the secrets, it all makes you compelled to continue reading and figure out what is going on. I've only read The Dry, but hopefully the other two books are also similar to that, and so it would make this series a really good read-alike for Shadows Reel. And those are the 3 read-alikes I have for you today. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the library's YouTube channel for more content. If you have any suggestions or questions, please go ahead and leave a comment, or you can always get a hold of me at the library reference desk, which I'll leave a link to down below. Thanks so much for watching, and let's all get back to reading.